world's most respected MMO news site, Massively Overpowered, comes a programme that pits one MMO against another in a battle of wits. To the death. Welcome to Massively Opinionated. Media personalities from all over the internet come to this forum to face off in the ultimate debate. Everyone is entitled to their wrong opinion, but ours is the only one that matters. Having heard that someone was wrong on the internet, it's your host, Larry Everett!
Alright, well, welcome to Massively Opinionated. We've gathered some of the best, your favorite media personalities from around the internet to talk about your favorite MMO tropes. And today's debate centers around what makes MMOs special, what separates them from single-player games. And our panels today come from all over the place. First, we have from MMO Bomb, we have the editor-in-chief. It's Mike Byrne. How's it going, sir?
Hey, I don't know if we can live up to this pedestal you just put us on, man.
But you're amazing.
That's some impressive
awesome
stuff.
Yeah, well, you are, I only invite the best.
I'm going to have you write my resumes from now on.
All right, well, and also from our site here, from Massively Overpowered, she does many columns here, including MMO Mechanics. How's it going, Tina, Lauro? How is it over in... Huh?
It's very good over here in Northern Ireland. Yeah.
Good. I thank you so much for, getting up this early, or staying up,
Staying up in my case, yeah. Yeah, no bad for me.
And then from his YouTube channel, Bog Otter, we have the one and only Richie Procopio. How are you going? How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing awesome. Thanks for having me.
So, let me go over, since this is going to be our first show, the rules and how this game is played, or whatever you want to call it. Basically what happens is I have given the panelists here, I have given them 4 questions before the show and asked them to answer them. They send me the answers, and just so I can check it against the other answers that were given to make sure that we don't have any duplicates here. And so what they're going to do, I'll ask the question, they give their answer, their reason behind that answer, and then once everybody has given their reasons, they have to defend their answers, and I will base my judgment. I call the winner at the end of at the end of each question, and based off of their argument, I name a winner, and then at the end of the show, there will be an ultimate winner. If, for whatever reason, we have a tie, meaning that Mike Byrne doesn't ever give any good answers, then we'll have one more question that I have come up with to have the other two debate it out that they have not seen yet. So, yeah, are you guys?
Scary.
I know it is. So, are you guys ready?
Yep.
Stretched out. I'm ready to go.
All right, let's
Totally
begin.
ready.
Let's fight to the death.
To the
death.
No hitting in the face or hair. That's how Richie makes the YouTube cash.
That's right.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is the moneymaker, right?
Yeah. Don't. Yeah. No injuries to the face. Don't pull the hair. Anywhere else is, you're never mind. All right, let's begin.
It's just safer to move on.
Yeah, that's right. Question 1, and I'm going to throw this to Tina first. Which MMO best defines the genre? First, give your answer, and then the reason behind that, and then I'll go to the other guys.
Sure. Well, for this question, I picked EVE Online, and I picked it because if you unpack the definition of MMO as best as we can anyway, it sort of fits. So I'm just going to use the layman's Wikipedia entry to sort of guide this. So a massively multiplayer online game is a multiplayer video game which is capable of supporting large numbers of players simultaneously. they have at least one persistent world, and you have, you know, economies that can tie into the real world economy, things like that, that EVE Online does better than so many other games. And, you know, we're not talking wide player bases, we're not talking the most popular game, we're talking about definitive here, and I think you can't top it.
Yeah, that's right. I did, and I should clarify that I did clarify in the question when they were answering that this doesn't necessarily mean which is the best MMO, because I mean, it's not necessarily which MMO do we like the best. It is, and it's not necessarily which MMO sold the most. So EVE Online. All right, let's go to Mike Byrne. Which one was which one was yours?
What are you laughing at?
He's laughing
I know
already.
his answer, and it's great. No,
It's a
great.
fantastic answer. It is the best answer, and it's
Go
the
ahead.
one that's going to score a point.
Go ahead. What is your answer, and give your reason behind it? All
right. I'm going, in anticipation of Richie Procopio saying World of Warcraft, I'm going... I'm going to go with Dark Age of Camelot. Dark Age of Camelot. Now, okay, there might be a little nostalgia here in my heart. True.
A lot of this.
Hey, this is my 2 minutes. So I'm gonna set the nostalgia aside for a minute. But when I break it down, Dark Age of Camelot just kind of epitomizes what I think of when I think of the term MMO, and obviously in this case MMORPG. Lots of people, big persistent world, lots of stuff to do, check, check, check. But I'm willing to concede EVE Online and whatever Richie's answered already meet those qualifiers too. So we'll skip over that. In my book, though, Dark Age of Camelot didn't just give you group and solo content like we're used to seeing now, but when you played, you didn't want to do anything solo. And it's one of the only MMOs that I remember jumping into every time and being in a group regardless, not because I had to. Yeah, there was content that I had to be in a group for, but I didn't have... Everybody has that feeling now, right? When you log on to even your favorite game, oh crap, I got to get a group and go do this real quick for my daily or for whatever. You didn't have that. You had Realm v Realm. You had 3-faction PvP, 6-month-long dynamic stories before Guild Wars 2 did it, with content every couple of weeks. It was the first MMO I found alternate advancement for. I mean, it just had all of those pieces, and granted, some of them may not have been fleshed out to the degree that we see other games doing it now a decade later. But the game made you want to play with people, and you couldn't wait to do it. That's the point of an MMO to me. The world felt alive, it constantly changed in ways you didn't expect, and it doesn't hurt that DAOC did some things that just haven't been replicated very well in the years since. 3-faction PvP, their ability to do a stealth class that was freaking meaningful, hybrid classes. It's got a lot going for it as firsts, and it's just, that's MMO. When I think of Dark Age of Camelot, baby.
Okay. Richie Procopio, surprise him by saying World of Warcraft. No, I'm just kidding. What is it? No, I'm kidding.
Not saying World of Warcraft.
What is your answer? What is the, which one defines the MMO genre for you?
So mine is not going to be the first MMO, and it's not going to be the most popular MMO. But when I think of where it all started for me, it has to be EverQuest, right? This is the quintessential MMO. This is where game companies and game developers started to notice, oh, this could be a thing. Let's start to, this is when the Clone Wars started, with all these MMOs starting to churn out because of EverQuest. 400,000 subscribers. That was like unheard of. All right, and we have this game where you have tons of different character options, tons of races, tons of classes. And over the years, they've added so many expansions, so many zones. The game now has over 400 zones to the game, over 20 expansions. It's insane. And a whole bunch of different terminology came out of this game. The Holy Trinity was pretty much established in EverQuest. Crushbone had those mob trains that it became a prevalent thing. Just, I don't know, when I think back, they had GMs doing live events with the players. I don't know, the term Evercrack, the fact that there's research done on the addictive quality of MMOs based on EverQuest. This is the quintessential MMO. not that your answers are bad, but come on. When you think about the quintessential MMO, it's EverQuest.
I love that backhanded compliment. That was awesome.
Come on. So, which defend yours, Mike. Come on. I know
Oh,
you
what
can't-
the hell? I gotta defend mine first.
Well, yeah, you were looking at Richie going, no, you're totally wrong. It's totally DAOC. I
Was
saw
that the way I
look
was
in your
looking at him?
face.
I apologize.
He wasn't technically looking at me. He was looking at his camera.
Well,
Right. I like Richie a lot. His answer sucks, but I like Richie a lot. EverQuest to me is just such the blasé answer. Like, it's one step below World of Warcraft on the answer to this question. Granted, yes, okay. I concede the point that it kind of started it all in what we know as an MMO today. It started to build the framework. But no, I can't go with you on everybody's emulating it and copying it, because to me that came from World of Warcraft, not from EverQuest.
Well, what did World of Warcraft copy?
World of Warcraft copied not EverQuest. Now,
It's totally EverQuest.
it's totally not EverQuest. It's totally different game. Totally different game. Now, EVE Online, I don't even understand. To me, an MMO, as far as having all the minutia that you pointed out from the wiki, yeah, I'll give it to you. All three of our games have all of that stuff. I think we would all agree that we meet the definition of an MMO. But which one defines it? To me, accessibility is too big a part of this genre for EVE Online to be the defining MMO.
I totally agree. I agree on that. Tina? Too many numbers. too much intellect required.
I don't know. We're not really talking about accessibility because we're not talking about popularity, and accessibility breeds popularity, not necessarily something that's defining. And I think when you play EVE Online, it smashes things together on such a grand, large scale that it's almost unfathomable, like how vast everything is, and how large corporations can be, and how large battles can be, that it just makes it immense, and it definitely defines, for me, what makes things massively and multiplayer.
But on the one hand, you're saying it's not about the popularity of the MMO. On the other hand, it's look at all the massive amounts of people and battles they could be.
Yeah, it's more the scale and grandeur of those things rather than the sort of concurrent population. Because, I mean, EVE Online's never going to win, top concurrent population ever, but it's what it does with that is so impressive.
If Larry gives EVE Online the point, I'm changing all three of my next answers to Excel.
I do like that argument, scale versus concurrent users. Now, what in your guys' mind? I guess I'll throw this to Richie. I mean, which one defines the massively part of an MMO? Is it the concurrent users or is it the scale? And how does EverQuest fit into that?
I don't know. I don't think you define the genre just by taking the first word of the acronym and saying, well, we've got to make it all about that, right? When I think about MMO, I think about like character customization options, right? How many races and classes does EverQuest have? The fact that you have different types of content to do and a huge world to explore. Did I mention 400 zones? Did I mention that? I think that
All
the
of
number...
Space.
What'd you say?
All of space.
All of space.
All of space.
All of space. Infinite space. And just, I don't know, there's so many conventions where you really break it down. When you look back, where did it start? And a lot of them started at EverQuest. Like the fact that we now are... We think of raiding, right, in World of Warcraft or other games. It all kind of evolved from what EverQuest used to do. Now, they didn't have, like, instance raids, but people had to get their guild together when a creature spawned out in the world. And there used to be, I had friends that used to be on telephone chains, kind of like when you had a snow day when you were in elementary school. They had people to call, and, like, it didn't matter if it was 2 a.m. or 3 a.m. They would get that call, and they'd have to call the next person, and everybody had to log in because whoever got their guild together and was organized, first would get that kill, because these bosses were free for all, up for grabs. And if another guild was actually doing it, you had to wait for them to fail before you got your shot. I don't know. This is just, there is some old schoolness to it. There is a little bit of nostalgia to it, but I really think this is where a lot of it began. Okay, well, I'm going to round this up and let everybody get their final arguments here. So let's start with Mike. Again, sorry.
He's like, let's just get Dark Age of Camelot out of the way first.
Well, no, I just because
I'll sum it up. Yeah. I'll sum it up simply. Sum it up simply. Dark Age of Camelot has everything that you've seen in MMOs since, and in a lot of cases, it started those without having to emulate EverQuest, and it went in its own path. EVE Online, if you give the point to EVE Online, I swear I'm going to hang myself. I swear. I'm going to hang myself. Oh, there's 400 zones in EverQuest. Well, EVE takes place in space. There's a hard background to render.
I'm going to tell Brenton you said that.
And to me, I'm sorry, yes, accessibility can lead to popularity, but at its core, to me, an MMO has to be accessible for me to say it's genre-defining. It doesn't have to be an MMO, but genre-defining, yes. And EverQuest, I don't like the aspect when you compare Dark Age of Camelot to EverQuest, where EverQuest, and they started doing this and then they got away from it. They stopped. All my time spent in EverQuest, I didn't feel like I had an impact on the world. And that's such an important part of MMO to me, is I want to feel like my one character matters. And with all the Realm v Realm and all the other things Dark Age of Camelot had going, your characters did matter. To be fair, EverQuest did initially have that type of stuff, right? With this boss is locked behind this, and if somebody beats it, it'll do all this stuff to the world, and it's done it on this server, but not on this server yet. But they stopped. And so for me, I gotta leave it with Dark Age of Camelot.
Okay, Tina, EVE Online.
For me, the other two games are admirable roots, and yes, they do have some features that are absolutely foundational, and they are the starting point for that. But EVE Online took that, put it on a massive scale, and just made these features spectacular and made them their own, and they've never been the same since. And I think that's what makes EVE Online absolutely definitive in MMOs, particularly in sandboxes, granted, but in MMOs in general.
Alrighty, Richie.
I just have this feeling that you could ask tons of MMO players, like, what is an MMO defining game, and no one's going to come up with EVE Online. I mean, I think it's so niche. I think it's just such a small, like, there's a core group of fans that are really drawn to that type of game, and they love it, and I love that EVE Online is part of the MMO genre, but I don't see it as genre defining. It's just too narrow in the type of player that it attracts. Dark Age of Camelot certainly is one of the old school MMOs that people can bring up, but I think its biggest claim to fame is that mass scale PvP, and that's been grown and emulated in games like Elder Scrolls Online and even Guild Wars 2. But when you look at the core part of MMOs with all of its character customizations and zones and Holy Trinity and a lot of in raiding, like a lot of that stuff originates from a game like EverQuest, and I just think that is the game that defines the genre.
Okay, I gotta tell you, it's tough for me to pick EVE Online, but I did like a couple of points that you made, like the scale of the battles and the scale of the things that happen. I do think that is absolutely important in defining an MMO. However, I think the rest of the game kind of does, and I mean, I agree with Mike that accessibility is definitely plays into the definition of MMOs. And so really when it came down to which one I wanted to pick, was the impact on the world, and then I think Richie sold it when you ask somebody, which one defines an MMO, or what, and I mean, nobody's going to say Dark Age of Camelot, unfortunately. Except for Mike Byrne. So the point goes to Richie with EverQuest. Woo! Yay!
If we chose Star Wars: The Old Republic, would it have been easier?
No, it's Star Wars Galaxies. Maybe whoever would have picked that one would have won. I'm totally kidding. Actually, so yeah, it was really funny. I was expecting this question and to be the three answers. Honestly, that I was expecting were not these three answers. Although I think these are, I really do think these are great answers, and you guys gave amazing arguments for it. But the three answers that I expected were Ultima Online, EverQuest, and WoW. So something fell. All right, we're going to go on to question 2. So first point goes to Richie. This second one, which is the biggest MMO mechanical feature? Mike's stretching. He's ready for this one.
Apparently, I got to fight harder. I didn't leave enough bruises that time.
Which is the biggest MMO mechanical feature that sets MMOs apart from single player games? So this is similar question, except this one is what makes an MMO an MMO, and what feature is it that makes that an MMO? And let's go to Mike Byrne first, just because I'm picking on him.
They are more than one player. There you go. Next question.
You know what? It took me 30 minutes to think of something besides that.
Go ahead. Because
no, that's it. They're more than one player. That's all. That's all I got. That's the biggest difference between, unless you want me to say Microsoft PowerPoint, because you seem to be liking answers like that. No, so okay. Besides that, the whole single player multiplayer, I'm going to go with social interaction as a whole. And now we got to break that down a little bit, because you did say mechanical feature.
That's right.
So I have to explain a little bit on social interaction. Chat panels, groups, raids, guilds, by their very design, MMOs aren't just a game. All of those mechanical features that bring people together, the chat panels, the guilds, the group finders, all of that stuff create a social experience. And to me, those mechanics push a totally different game than a single-player game. I've had friends, for instance, and you guys probably do too, and people watching this, all 7 of you, you guys probably, no.
We probably have friends.
You probably have a couple of friends.
Maybe.
You've had friends that at some period in your MMO careers, that sounds so impressive when you say it that way.
Doesn't it?
It is absolutely impressive that you have an MMO career.
That have actually subbed to a particular game, not because they really love the game.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But because it's a way to hang out with friends, and the chatting, the interacting, maybe do a quest or two along the way. While other games obviously have voice chat, right? And they have chat tools and things like that. What sets this apart is the game itself and those mechanics facilitating an overall social experience. For instance, when I talk about Call of Duty, a multiplayer game with chat features, obviously, even though every 12-year-old has done something dirty to my mother, or Assassin's Creed or Resident Evil. That's what they yell in my ears when I die. That's what they say.
Yeah, but we're going to take that out of context now. And
they did that to my mom. Meme it.
What are 12-year-olds doing to your mother?
That's what they tell me. All these little 12-year-olds. They did this to my mom. I'm like, I didn't even know you lived in Pennsylvania. That's not cool. So when I talk about Call of Duty or Assassin's Creed, Resident Evil, things like that, I would talk to Larry and say, hey, I'm gonna go play Resident Evil for a little bit. In MMOs, besides maybe Raid Night, okay, we'll set that one aside. I say I'm going to go hang out with the Final Fantasy XIV gang. I'm going to go hang out with the guild. I'm going to go hang out with the free company. Can you have aspects of these mechanics in other games? Of course. But you and your group create the hangout vibe in those games, where MMOs, by their nature and those mechanical features, facilitate the building of social bonds. So I'm going to go with social interaction as a whole through the mediums and tools in the game.
Alrighty. Richie, what do you say? What were you thinking?
I'm going to go with virtual economies. And in MMOs, you have the social aspect, like Mike was talking about. But in addition to that, the fact that you can trade items with other players, sell items on trading posts or commodity exchanges or auction houses, whatever you want to call it, whatever feature your current MMO calls that, that has a huge impact on your experience. And that totally separates it from a single-player game. You play something like Skyrim, you know, and there's a sword you really want, well, you know what? You're going to have to get that sword yourself. But in an MMO experience, you can have a guild of people who know that you want that sword, or and they can actually be looking for it while you're offline, which kind of solidifies the fact that there's a persistent world there. So I just think that the fact that MMOs have an economy that it can actually, you know, have an ebb and flow just like supply and demand in real life really is a defining feature that separates it from having a single player game. The fact that you can get rare materials and have that aha moment of, oh my god, I just got the, you know, legendary sword of awesome, and I can now sell that to another player or give it to a friend and make their, you know, day. I just think that that really enhances the whole experience and separates it from a single player game.
All right. Tina, go ahead.
My answer ties very, very nicely into yours, actually, because my answer is the fundamental mechanics that surround persistence. So, you know, worlds usually revolve around characters in adventure games, but the world keeps spinning in an MMO, and I think that is absolutely fundamental to the genre. The world can change so drastically in an MMO while your character isn't even there. I mean, look at Guild Wars 2, look at the seasons. I mean, there are some amazing things that we can see in these games, that if we don't play for a while, we can come back and the world itself can be fundamentally changed and different from how we last experienced it, and that's amazing. It brings it so nicely into real life. You know, you can see things like how territory can shift hands as well in sandboxes. I mean, it's fantastic when you see the results.
Oh, now you guys want to talk about PvP. Now you want to.
There's also a very clear dividing line in terms of definition drawn by the whole persistent world. You know, your lobby-based games, even things like Guild Wars, you know, 1, you don't have that same requirement for so many players to interact simultaneously in core gameplay, and that helps to sort of define off what an MMO really is, and so that's why I would give it to persistent worlds, although I loved Mike's answer because I just wrote an article on that for MMO mechanics.
Oh, so, yeah, link it up, baby! I want to read it.
So I do have a question regarding persistent worlds, because there are games that are definitely, well, that are MMOs that don't really exactly have persistent worlds. I mean, Star Wars: The Old Republic, for one, is a pretty decent answer to that, because their world...
man, you're lucky the servers are up. Just be happy with that.
Well, it doesn't have... there's nothing that you do that affects the world around you. It affects your story. Sure, you can change the things that happen in your story, but it doesn't affect the world around you. I mean, what is that now? Not an MMO? Or what would you say to something like that line?
Are still some fantastic elements that make these games persistent, even through the character perspective. So you'll have things that you've worked super hard with your group of friends, you know, your skills and stats, your gear, things like that, and you can log out for however long you want, and that stuff will still be there. And even that kind of persistence, I think, lends real weight to MMOs. You usually have at least some kind of persistence in an MMO. It's not necessarily always the sort of the world geography, I guess. I'll give you that, but there's always something persistent that you can always return back to.
All right, so Richie, explain to me why the economy is more important than like the social interaction of an MMO. How does that play better into defining what an MMO is, or separating it?
It's funny because Mike kind of tried to put this into his answer, but I actually think it goes against his answer in that, like, chat features and social structures are part of MMOs for absolutely certain, but it's part of so many other games as well. I play Clash of Clans on my phone, and my dad and my son and a couple of my friends are playing it too. And we have a chat room, and we have a clan of people that play together and stuff. But this in no way, shape, or form is an MMO. So you can have that kind of social experience and that social organization in other games as well. So I think that the ability to actually sell your goods to other players, find things and gift things to other players, and the fact that you're trading just absolutely makes it part of the MMO experience.
Yeah, those are fighting words, Mike. Defend yourself. Come on.
Those are fighting words. Those are fighting words big time. Richie Procopio. Strong diamond.
Nobody understands that.
Nobody will get that. Nobody will get
Check Twitter. Okay. Yes. I acknowledge that games also have these chat features, but I would also argue that Clash of Clans does nothing as a game itself to build that social aspect. You, your dad, your family have created that social aspect using available tools in the game. The game's mechanics itself and the core gameplay, as well as the chat panels and everything, aren't encouraging that dynamic and that social experience. Go into your guild. In Guild Wars 2, you probably know a bunch of people there, right? Because you've been playing games with them forever. You kind of migrate from game to game. But there's a big bulk of people that you don't know and would never have met and wouldn't care to have met if you were playing Clash of Clans. In Guild Wars 2, though, they become part of your team through the social mechanics in the game. And while we're on the topic, okay, selling items doesn't do a damn thing for me to differentiate between a single-player game and a multiplayer game. Just look at Diablo 2 and the black market that existed forever to trade items back and forth. And Diablo 3, where Blizzard actually implemented it. And these are just two AAA examples of single-player games that gave you the tools, legally or illegally, depending on what game you're looking at, to exchange those items, to exchange currency, to have an economy outside of a single-player game. On the issue of persistence, again, I go back to there's single-player games that have done this. AAA, not little indie titles that I'm aware of, but AAA Animal Crossing creates a persistent world by generating events and things while you're offline. For crying out loud, Metal Gear Solid 3, you can let the boss die of old age by just not playing the game after you've initiated the boss fight. So there are huge games on the single-player side that have achieved that persistence, and since persistence isn't something that's across all MMOs, I gotta say that's not the answer.
Wow.
That's
Tina,
a tough one for you.
Yeah, this is a tough one. Tina, go ahead. I'm gonna since we're coming up on the time here I'm giving about 15 minutes per question here. So I'll go ahead and let everybody. I'll start with Tina. The main thing that the persistent world, defines MMOs in general. I mean, defend yourself against what Mike was saying, and then close your argument as well.
Okay. I would say that persistence sort of ties your themes together, guys, because it's the persistence in the world that sort of bonds everyone together to enjoy those chat features and make them more than what they are in casual phone games and stuff like that Richie referenced. And it's persistence that allows your economy to work, because you need people to be able to go away and come back and stuff like that, and these things to still exist without them to really avail of those economies and make them realistic. So I think my point sort of holds your guys together.
All right, Richie, go ahead.
I think that the economy in an MMO is a whole different game type, right? There are people out there that identify themselves as econ PvPers, and I'm looking at you, Anrez, on the internet. You guys, there are people out there whose whole core reason for playing MMOs is to get into the crafting, get into the resource management, and work these auction houses to their own gain. It's a whole different game mode, and it's something that you just don't see in the single-player space, which ties into what the original question was. What MMO feature separates itself from a single-player game? And I just think that having a virtual economy is one of those key features. You just don't have that kind of thing when you're just, you're like, all right, let me see what this NPC vendor is going to give me in terms of gold pieces for this item. The economy is the living heartbeat behind, what makes an MMO tick.
All right, Mike Byrne, final words.
My answer is right. Theirs is wrong.
All right, good answer.
Well said. Well spoken.
I think I'm going to go ahead and make a call here because I think Tina almost had me with
almost. That's a good word.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't like almost.
you almost had me whenever you said that it ties them together, and I really wish you could have shown or explained how the persistent world actually tied them together. Given examples of this did this or this did that. So unfortunately, although you're probably right, I can't give you the point. So that comes between economy and we'll go with like chat and social features. And the thing that won me over here is that Mike said, and I was really expecting somebody to say this, Diablo 2, which is a single-player game, did the economy thing, and so the point goes to Mike.
Holy crap!
It's not a single-player game. It's a multiplayer game.
Well, it's not an MMO. All right.
I got a point.
I like him.
So
I like that. I like that you said like Tina would have won this point, but she let it down.
No, I must try harder. I must put in more.
Yeah, he was like, the only reason I didn't give this to you, Tina, was your own fault.
I said to be brave.
Yeah, no, it comes down to the argument here. I do have to unfortunately base it on the argument and not just my opinion. So yeah. Anyway, Mike gets the point. So we got 1 to Richie, 1 to Mike, and we go into the third question, which is kind of a fun question. I really did this just to see what kind of answers you guys would come up with because
this question is going to cause the most nerd rage.
I know. I cannot wait. I cannot wait to.
Ironically, this was probably the question I spent the longest amount of time thinking about my answer.
It's so wide open.
Me too.
Okay, so what I said.
Have we fought that person? Because if we have.
I had a lot of that too. And ways I could people who had fought and like other guises and stuff.
All right, well, let me get the question here so that the audience here can understand what we're talking about. I said, which iconic figure in MMOs could defeat the other iconic figures in MMOs? So, but I gave caveats here because I didn't. I mean, obviously, some of them have like God as as one of the choices. So you can't do that. So what I said is that the character has to be an NPC in the game. So you have to actually be able to see them or interact with them in some form or fashion, and they cannot be a boss fight in a dungeon raid or other kind of encounters. So that means Deathwing is out. Sorry. So
darn it,
because everybody knows Deathwing would kill all 3 of our answers.
Yes.
So I'm going to throw this one over to Richie first. Which iconic figure could defeat any other iconic figure in MMOs?
I'm going to keep my opening argument pretty quick and simple.
Okay.
I went with Gandalf from Lord of the Rings Online. He fights a Balrog. He dies. He comes back more powerful and cleaner. Enough said.
Wow.
Cleanliness is next to godliness, so that's important.
Exactly. How do you die and come back go from gray to white? I mean, come on.
There you go. All right, good point. All right.
Good point. What the hell are you talking about?
Tina, go ahead. What is yours?
Okay, mine's a bit of a cheeky answer. My character is in every MMO. He holds everyone's most precious items. He interacts with every single character. He controls your pockets. That's right. I chose the banker. He could hold every MMO universe to ransom. I would totally not mess with the bank man.
You can never kill the banker, right?
Exactly.
That's right. He is.
It's right there.
And Mike spent so much time thinking about which.
Seriously, man. Like I had charts and stuff.
He has
I
a
was
whole,
like,
you
okay,
have a whole wall, right? With all
I've
your.
never fought this character, and then the yes, no, and the tree goes, and it's like, okay, if I put these, who is this guy beaten, and who is this one beaten, and could they beat each other? Oh man, the banker and Gandalf.
All right, well, let's hear your answer.
I went with Alex Straza. I did. I went World of Warcraft on you.
Wow.
The Lifebinder aspect of the Red Dragonflight, Queen of the Dragons. And I think you got to take Gandalf out of the equation right now because Richie got roped in here. I said if we said Deathwing, everybody admits that their character would lose. And Richie said yes.
I don't know if I actually said yes.
You said yes. Play it back, Larry. Play it back. I mean, come on. We all know that Deathwing would kick everybody's butt. So, if we're allowed to pick characters you actually fought, we would have gone with Deathwing. Some of us said that. Alex Straza not only fought Deathwing by herself, but survived the fight and weakened Deathwing enough that 25 unnamed puny humans and orcs and everybody were able to band together and finish Deathwing off. She was awarded her title by titans, by gods, for crying out loud. It doesn't get any bigger than that. You don't fall down a pit with a fiery dog and then come back and you're like, hey, somebody said I'm Gandalf the White now. Well, who said that? Oh, me. I got a clean tunic. No, the Titans said she was queen. She's taken out multiple aspects, including Malagos along the way. And there's aspects of what the players can't do all throughout Cataclysm and the next two expansions without her. Alex Straza kicks butt. And could step on the banker. Could just step on the bank. Come on.
If there was a plate of cookies behind Gandalf that Alex Straza wanted, she would not be able to pass.
But those cookies would be left in my banker's chest for safekeeping anyway, so it wouldn't even come up. All the good stuff would be in that chest.
The banker doesn't even have a name.
Yeah.
And there's 7 of him. And he's building.
You can't pick all the bankers.
Right.
Which banker is it?
Pick one banker.
No,
Is it the
no.
dwarf and Iron Forge Buckler? Is it Buckler?
No, it is the royal banker.
You know what? I'm going to go through all the MMOs now and find one MMO where you could fight the banker.
Are you and just try to kill the
And
banker?
then you're disqualified.
Well, all right. I actually.
No, I don't do World of Warcraft like rating of the cities or anything. But are they killable NPCs when the horde storms through Stormwind?
That's actually a good point because I don't know if they are now, but they used to be. You actually used to be able to go to the bankers as as an alliance or horde, whichever side you were. Go to the opposite side. And actually kill the bankers so they couldn't access their banks. It might have been just for a little while, like it was a bug or something like that, but it has been done before. So
players have managed to kill the banker.
Yes, players have managed to kill the banker.
All right.
So all right, so
I just got to take care of Gandalf here.
So
You can't get the cookies, man.
All right, let's.
Cookies.
Alex Straza would just turn into her aspect, chomp on Gandalf and the cookies all at once. I mean, this isn't even hard. Gandalf was stuck on a tower, and if a moth didn't fly by, he'd still frickin' be there. He'd still be there. Come on.
Can Alex Straza talk to moths?
She could just fly away.
I don't think so. She cannot speak to moths. That is not proven.
So what? This isn't which one of the NPCs has the most foreign language experience.
Well, that's true.
It's part of it for sure.
But that's true. But you know,
Has Alexstrasza died?
No.
Gandalf has died and come back.
Yeah, but he died.
So's the banker.
You can't kill him.
He died.
He's gonna come back.
Somebody killed him.
Yeah, and he came back.
So, but he died. Is the point? He died. Deathwing couldn't kill Alexstrasza. Gandalf died. Yeah, he came back. Good for him. Kudos. So do I when I play Call of Duty. Respawn.
Where did she get all the precious stuff? I bet you she had it in the bank, okay?
Dude, the banker is dead already.
No.
25 noobs queued up for LFR and killed Deathwing.
After Alexstrasza weakened him, Gandalf fell down a pit and died. He respawned. Not my fault. Still died.
So she lacks compunction because she didn't finish the job herself.
She didn't die in the encounter either.
And she could only do it because all her stuff was safe in the bank.
I don't even know how to do this argument.
I like that we're all yelling about this question more than the previous two. Like, no, it's Gandalf, damn it. No.
I don't even know how to. I don't even know how to moderate this one.
You're screaming about Gandalf versus the banker versus Alexstrasza. It's a lot sexier than cool economies versus social interaction.
I know.
So, all right. So, oh gosh.
How do I choose?
Point, Larry?
Show us.
All right. So, I'm having trouble. Obviously, I mean, since the bankers have been killed by players, it can't be the bankers. Although I love that answer. It's an amazing answer.
It was fun. It was a fun answer.
I don't. What would happen if? Okay, let's do this scenario. I'm going to try to create.
We need an epic rap battle.
I know. We do. We need an epic rap battle.
Alexstrasza.
I need to envision what is happening here because I mean the thing is we know that Gandalf defeated the Balrog. Now is the Balrog equivalent to Deathwing? Because if that's the case, then Alexstrasza would
Totally
lose,
equivalent.
right?
How is it totally equivalent? The Balrog can't even fly. He just plummets. It just falls really low. He's really good at falling. It's
So
really good
I
at
guess
gravity
this,
work.
I guess this comes down to who would win in a battle between Deathwing and the Balrog, really, right? Because
How did we get there?
well, because if Gandalf, gosh,
Point by association.
Well, Gandalf can beat the Balrog. Alexstrasza can beat Deathwing. That doesn't get us anywhere.
well, Alexstrasza can't beat Deathwing. That's actually been shown and if the Balrog can beat Deathwing, then clearly Gandalf is the winner. Gosh, I feel like I'm playing through the scenario in Princess Bride.
Deathwing doesn't even have to land to kill the Balrog. He doesn't. The Balrog doesn't even get a swing in. Come on. He's got a whip. That's it.
The Balrog has wings, doesn't he?
He does
Really?
have
'Cause
wings, but he doesn't fly.
He doesn't fly.
What?
He falls a long way into a pit of water.
Yeah.
Well, that's because he's got Gandalf all up in his face.
No, Gandalf isn't up in his face.
It totally
initially.
is.
Initially,
extended edition.
No, Gandalf
Oh
was
my
in the back
god,
of
we're
the
arguing about Lord of the Rings now. What has happened to my life?
This is an amazing fight. I'm going to have to give it to Alexstrasza. Alexstrasza.
Yes! Holy crap, I didn't expect that to win. I would have given it to the banker. Thanks, Larry.
I also would have given it to the banker.
Oh my god. No love for Gandalf.
Gandalf, get the heck out of here.
Oh, that was amazing. All right.
Can we skip the fourth question? I need to go rethink my life very quickly. that just devolved very quickly.
Oh, that was amazing. That's it's going to make great internet.
I I just like that everybody who's watching the show is now pictured Gandalf fighting Alexstrasza, fighting random NPC banker.
Yeah. Well, to be fun, just like picking up all this stuff and
that's going to be the title of this show. Gandalf versus Alexstrasza versus the banker.
Versus the banker.
All right. So last question. I asked, this really wasn't a question, actually, it was a statement. And I asked everybody to build their own MMO. So obviously the best MMO they can come up with. And there were three things that I asked them to pick. There was three key features. I wanted to know the key features of the game, and limited to three. And then the IP or genre. So it could be, you could pick an IP or you could pick just a general genre, and also, which is extremely important, the studio making it. So, and who do we start with first? We started with Tina on the first question, so let's go to Tina again. And what is your MMO?
Oh, okay. So my MMO would have to be the World of Darkness that we lost to CCP. But
she has props. She has props.
Yeah. Look at this books behind me. I love this stuff. But it would have to be finished the way CCP originally envisioned, because they had some fantastic ideas. Key features would include territorial control and a lot of the politics and intrigue that really makes the World of Darkness lore great. You would have things like a single shard universe as well, so you had that really close community where every character had notoriety and importance, because that is so important in the World of Darkness sort of mechanics, because you have to sort of gain your notoriety, and that sort of propels your character forward in the RPG, and it would have to work like that in the MMO. I would leave it in the hands of CCP if they would actually follow it through this time, and if I had a blank check ready to go, because I really do believe that it wasn't really tech or any of those skills that let them down. I think it was the bankroll.
What was the... so territorial control, single shard, I missed one of them. What was the third one?
The sort of political mechanics that you would find in the RPG.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Mike.
By the way, if I knew that props would score points, I would have gone up here and brought this in the last question.
Oh, see, you totally would have won.
No, I didn't know that was part of this.
Totally would have won just on cuteness alone, because that was pretty amazing.
I to win.
Okay. Mike, what is build your MMO?
I'm going to build my MMO. I might have to change the name because there's another game, a PvP-based game with this actual title, but I'm going to use this as the IP, so this is not the title of my MMO.
Okay.
I'm going to go with the Nosgoth IP. That's the Legacy of Kain / Soul Reaver universe. And we're going to make an MMORPG, not a PvP game like the Nosgoth that you guys can play right now. So my features are going to be multi-faction PvP. Now, I go about this two different ways in my head. We can ally all the vampires together into like 3 alliances and do a Dark Age of Camelot, Elder Scrolls online type thing. Or we could take it another step further. It'd be entirely unbalanced, but would be very fun. Go hog wild and try something where all the races, vampire or not, they're on their own, and you've got wildly unbalanced 20-faction PvP. I think either way would be fun. Okay. But for the sake of letting the most people play the game, let's do the 3 alliances, Dark Age of Camelot, Elder Scrolls Online thing.
Okay.
Although I might like to see chaotic. Night Cycle. Now, this might be not so good as far as moving boxes off shelves, but that has no bearing on the question here. It was just build the MMO. I would like it to also have a night cycle. Now, not just like day, night, EverQuest and other MMOs where, it's nighttime in the game, it's daytime in the game. No. I want it to always be night in Nosgoth. And you can only play when it's actually night in your time zone. Server controlled, not client PC, clock time controlled. Don't get fancy and switch the clock. This would, of course, necessitate changes in the way raids and PvP are set up, particularly for international guilds, but would be really freaking awesome for the RP crowd to be playing a vampire MMORPG, vampire-based one, and only being able to play at night. It really gets you into character. Finally, last feature, blood is the currency. No gold, no silver, nothing like that. It can be farmed from enemies of all types, obviously, and can be either consumed by the character for benefits, maybe like a skill tree type deal, or you can opt to trade it to other people, buy things with it. That's your currency. Now, certain blood types are more valuable based on the rarity of the blood type. Certainly makes a lot more sense when you kill that rat, and instead of having a pair of leather trousers and 4 silver on it, it's got a certain type of blood. Developers, I'm going to give this one to Crystal Dynamics, since they know the world best as far as building the world of Nosgoth and the lore that goes into it. And I would be okay if they use their publisher, Square Enix, for the MMO architecture and the MMO aspects of the game. However, particularly when it comes to architecture, I'd rather see them Crystal Dynamics partner with ArenaNet for those things.
Okay, so okay, I'm gonna have to have you narrow this down. Okay, so Crystal Dynamics definitely as your developer, and
yep, and we'll go with ArenaNet as the publisher.
ArenaNet, okay, that's cool. All right,
that's why I said I would rather have them go with ArenaNet.
Sounds good. All right. Last but not least, Richie.
Okay, so this question I started going down the route of, like, what are some intellectual properties I would love to see made into an MMO, right? And you start thinking of, like, you know, the common answers, Firefly or Harry Potter MMO, or, like, I was even thinking, like, Dark Crystal. But, you know, if any of those games were announced, no one would be excited about it. Everyone was going to say they're going to ruin it, it's going to fail, it's going to suck. And so I started thinking, what?
I don't know, I kind of want to see a Dark Crystal MMO now.
It would be cool. But they healed the Dark Crystal, so that's where I got stuck. I'm like, but they already fixed it. So I was thinking about, if they announced an MMO today, which MMO would I actually, like, be on board, like, knowing I would actually try and play that in advance just by knowing what it is. And that MMO would be World of Warcraft 2. I have spent more years of my life playing that game than any other game of kind. Not even MMO. World of Warcraft.
Mike's given up. He's done.
Okay. So here's the thing. It's going to be made by Blizzard, obviously. Mm-hmm. We're going to put it 1,000. The first feature is this, where the story is going to be told from. We're going to put it 1,000+ years in the future. Okay, so we're not going to rehash the same storylines, the same characters. They're all dead. Let's see some new stuff. Let's see what becomes of Azeroth in the future. We're going to modernize the combat. Okay, I've been tempted to come back into World of Warcraft several times since I quit 2 years ago, and every time what keeps me away is the combat. I've moved beyond tab targeting. I have moved beyond there, basically, not being able to cast on the run with all of your skills and stuff like that. So we need action combat.
Action combat.
Okay. Action combat, more modernized combat system. And the third feature is, I want the Guild Wars style non-compete with other players. Okay, if there's a farming node, I want to be able to all have the farming node. If there's a quest mob, I don't want to wait my turn to kill the quest mob. I want everybody to be interacting together, kind of like that Guild Wars 2 thing. So World of Warcraft 2, obviously it's something that people have joked about for years, but I would genuinely be excited about that. I would love to see an updated version of that game.
Wow, these are something really tough to think about, and I do have to ask, and because the first question that came to my mind when reading through these was the night cycle.
Yeah.
With yours, Mike, and what is it about that night cycle that makes it special or better than what a current, like one of the other MMOs would offer?
What he's trying to do there, I can answer for him. He's trying to avoid the day cycle because he doesn't want all the vampires to be sparkly.
What I find funny is I was shot in the foot on the very first question for suggesting that Eve could be good, because you guys pointed out the lack of accessibility, and then you limit an option to only after hour play, and I'm supposed to let that slide? Nah.
No, not after hours, just nightfall. That's all you're looking for.
So
that's all you're looking for.
So many players.
I'm not making you fill out an Excel sheet to play, though.
Does that mean, like, you can't play for most of summer when you're just too busy to, like, wait on night and then have to go to bed? No. That definitely limits accessibility, and I was shot in the foot for that earlier, so no, that's not sliding in my watch.
And I also said that this would be awful as far as moving boxes off of shelves go. I acknowledge that point. But this would be, if I made one, what would I do? These would be 3 key features. This would be pretty cool. You said earlier that
would make it poor and non-definitive MMO, so no, I can't let that slide.
I'm not building the definitive MMO, I'm building an MMO. First off, for World of Warcraft 2 and World of Darkness, I would totally be on board for both of those, particularly World of Darkness. There was a part of my soul that died when that was canceled.
Mine too.
But in the interest of argument here, while I can go with you on the game and all of your features, I think you made a mistake giving it back to CCP, who has already proven that they couldn't do it the first time. And while you and I may agree and speculate that funding was the primary cause for this, we don't know that for sure. And in fact, that team that was working on World of Darkness got scaled down. World of Darkness scaled down big time years prior to the actual cancellation. So I tend to think that maybe funding wasn't the only thing. So the only gripe I have with World of Darkness as a decision is the developer being given back to CCP.
I totally agree with that. That was the one thing that I heard as well. It immediately was like, red flag, why would you do that? Like, even if you believe that it was just the funding, right? Even if that's really what you think, for the purposes of this argument, why would you do that?
On the other side of this, with World of Warcraft 2, which I would love to see, I can't give it back to Blizzard Entertainment. Blizzard has tried to build their next MMO and ended up catastrophically closing it after 7 years of development. Now, could you have gone with a different developer? No. You were screwed either way with this answer, because you can't give it back to Blizzard, who's already had a 7-year failure with Project Titan. Whether it was WoW 2 or not, we don't think it was, based on what we had leaked.
It definitely was not WoW 2.
It was not a World of Warcraft IP, but Blizzard is not going to do it anytime soon, so let's give it to a different developer. Oh, wait, you can't. Blizzard owns the IP. I think that answer was screwed both ways.
I think I'm going to give a moment to Richie here to defend Blizzard, because I think there is some defense there. So go ahead,
Don't
Richie.
give him hints. Don't give him hints, Larry. I know where the defense is, and I purposely stayed away from about 4 words in making my point.
Go ahead.
Well, I mean, you're absolutely right. You can't give World of Warcraft to anyone else, and there's no point in even trying to go that route. So that was certainly not an option. Trying to compare World of Warcraft 2 to Titan, I mean, that's crazy. They were trying to do something free to play, something space, something first person shooter, and trying to make that into an MMO. And things like Destiny came out, and they were like, no, man, we'll stick to what we're good at. Here's this Overwatch thing instead. World of Warcraft is their baby. They've been doing the World of Warcraft world since the strategy game came out. They wouldn't mess this up. They couldn't mess this up. World of Warcraft 2 will happen someday, and it's going to be amazing. So
I disagree. World of Warcraft 2 will never happen, specifically for the reason that they can't afford to screw it up.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I mean, I agree that they're nowhere near it. I agree that they're nowhere near it because as long as you're still getting millions of people paying that sub fee for World of Warcraft, they're silly to ever kind of compete with that directly. But 15 years, 20 years down the line,
I don't think we're going to see it, specifically because they can't afford to screw that one up.
Yeah.
Tina, let me ask about CCP. Why do you think CCP would be able to do it this time when they weren't able to do it last time?
I genuinely do think it's a pay issue, and I genuinely think that those team members were cut because strategically it made more sense to put money into sort of doing up Eve more and working on Dust because they wanted to engage a new market for their baby Eve. And I kind of get that from a business perspective, but yeah, I totally think that if you took out finances and I could hand them a blank check, they would do this superbly. And
Can't go with a company that thought Dust 5.14 was a better alternative.
Do you know what? On paper, Dust had a lot of promise. It was just poorly executed. Very, very poorly executed. But thankfully, I'm not talking about Dust.
She didn't choose that.
So I mean, is there any argument against? I guess. Gosh, this is horrible to throw this to Richie and Tina for this one. But is there any argument with ArenaNet or Crystal Dynamics doing Nosgoth, doing a vampire game?
I think, in terms of the ArenaNet team, there's so much color and so much personality there, and their living worlds are always so bright and engaging. It might be difficult to make that more dark and sort of melodramatic to fit your theme. I don't know whether your theme choice really fits with the developer, but who knows?
Well, keep in mind, though, ArenaNet is providing the MMO part of this partnership. I bring in Crystal Dynamics, who has held the franchise and the lore and the world forever and done it right as the world creation. Yeah.
I just worry about how that would mess with it, but
right.
So this is my. Oh, go ahead. Did you have something, Richie?
Well, I was just gonna say he chose ArenaNet as the publisher, right?
It's a partnership.
Oh, okay. I said publisher earlier.
Larry said publisher.
I said publisher. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah. I'm
Okay.
sorry. That
Right.
was me that said that. So what? Okay. So here's my sticklers on this one. Okay. First off, the CCP is really a kind of an issue here. Although you did give a good argument regarding, the whole thing with Dust 5.14. It's not really a thing anymore for them because as far as that's concerned, they're kind of getting rid of that. And then also, Blizzard doing this again because I think Mike made a really good argument regarding they can't fail. If they were to do Warcraft 2 or World of Warcraft 2, they could not fail in this. But the thing that's really sticking on all, so everybody has something that I'm having trouble getting over, and the feature of the night cycle in Mike's is really something that I'm having a really hard time with because
that was terrible.
yeah.
because the accessibility is really, really difficult, and I know although nobody's brought it up, but I think it's quite obvious that not everybody plays in the evening.
No.
So that's an issue. I mean, I don't play in the evening all the time. I play during the day because that's when I have free time. So that makes this is a really difficult argument.
That feature is awesome for our peers, Larry. It's awesome for
he's trying to appeal to.
He's trying to look, I can appeal to Larry as well. Look, Max Rebo, Larry.
Oh my gosh! And gosh, I really, Mike, you would have won this one landslide. If it weren't for the night cycle thing, just landslide would have won this one.
See, he was trying to be creative and do something different.
Yeah, I
totally shot himself in the foot.
I totally appreciate the creativity, but I think that ultimately shot you in the foot. So it's between World of Darkness.
Wait a minute! No, I got one mechanic you don't like, and you're going to give it to a game that's got developer issues from Square One.
But see the thing is though that this is we know that Blizzard would not have developer issues. It's just their issue would be is whether or not they could outdo themselves.
Yeah.
And ultimately,
Which has nothing to do with this question. So.
So ultimately, I think they are going to eventually outdo themselves. So I would have to go with WoW too. That's going to be Richie. And
that makes it a tie, though.
it does make it a tie.
Yes,
Mike,
makes me
Mr.
have
Byrne,
0 points.
you should have been arguing for Tina to win that one.
Yeah, I should have.
One.
Get with the program.
So
You got to game the system.
I know.
So, hold on. I got to go to my notes here. All right. So, in the spirit of what makes an MMO and an MMO, I'm going to have you guys choose between two different MMOs here, and the first one to name it. So this is the way this is going to work. Is the first one to name it is going to be the one that has to defend that one. So if you guys choose the same one, and whoever said it first gets it, and the other person has to defend the other one. Okay. All right.
Okay.
So here we go. The only the only two MMOs that you could play right now.
Wait, say that again? Say that again?
These are the only two MMOs you can play right now. Which one do you play? And it is Defiance or Dust 514.
Defiance!
Yes!
I know he's winning. I know he's winning.
Okay. You gonna go with? Are you gonna concede, Mike, or are you gonna?
He beat me.
That is so sad.
I think
He gets Defiance.
Give that a go. Go
Go
on.
ahead, Richie. Go
I
ahead.
have to play one of these two games. I would definitely play Defiance. You know what? I watched the show, and I actually did a happy dance when they announced that season 3 is going to be live. They actually, it started off as a show that kind of was okay, and it's when they started killing characters off and doing plot twists that were crazy, I was like, this is a really good show. And out of those two games for sure, I would want to jump into the world of Defiance and try it out. Now, I actually have never played it, but the fact that it is a shooter MMO, and I typically play, more traditional MMOs, that's kind of a draw to me to try something a little bit different. And I like the history. I like that you take Earth. The setting is you fast forward it in time, and this planet is not livable anymore. And what happens, for anybody who doesn't watch the show, basically aliens from way, way out in outer space detect that Earth would be a civilization, a planet that they could settle on. And it took them so long to get here, but all of their scanning, that there was no intelligent life here on Earth by the time when they set out to come here. By the time they got here, humans had evolved and taken over the planet. So now there's all these ARC ships and stuff waiting to kind of colonize this planet and all this negotiation, and these wars break out between the aliens and stuff, and it tears them apart. And now there's all these aliens.
So why not? Because I'm going to base off a single argument here. So why not Dust 514?
Because I know a lot more about Defiance. I can tell you the backstory of Defiance, and I know Dust 514. We actually made fun of it earlier in the episode, so that wasn't the one I wanted to pick.
Okay, Mike.
All right, if I only have to pick one between Defiance and Dust 514, I am most assuredly picking Dust 514. Despite the fact that 2 minutes ago I said Defiance, I accidentally said Defiance.
Yeah.
They got confused. They both started with the D.
Yeah. They both started with D. I understand.
I didn't know what the question was. I thought you said which one sucks, and I said Defiance.
Right.
So I played both. Defiance is fun for about 45 minutes. That's it. And with the whole big thing that was Defiance was supposed to be the interaction between the game and the TV show, which is almost non-existent. I do enjoy the TV show, It's quirky, but okay, I get it. The game, not so much, 45 minutes. Now, Dust 514, not only do I have a nice shooter, multiplayer, all the PvP I want, it's gonna last me longer than 45 minutes because of the infinite battle modes and all the different things going on. But I'm in an interconnected world with EVE Online where my actions as a single fighter can impact global changes across the entire universe. Not just changes in some TV show on the Siffy channel. On the Siffy channel.
Siffy.
They spell it wrong now.
So you're talking about interactivity.
Hey, no, there's no rebuttals here. There's no rebuttals here.
All right. I'm going to make the call, and you know what's really funny is that even though I would have personally picked Defiance, and clearly Mike picked Defiance first off, Mike made the better argument for Dust 514, so Mike wins the game. Good job.
I don't know which is more embarrassing, that I had to argue for Dust 514 or I won the game on Dust 514.
That was amazing. So I'm gonna throw it to Mike Byrne first. Where can we find you on the internet, and what have you been up to?
You can find me over at MMOBomb.com, where we cover anything free-to-play related. We do articles, first look videos, a weekly podcast. Check it out. Great site. Love working there with Mr. Jason Winter, a friend of a lot of ours on the panel here.
Yep.
Over at GameBreaker.tv, doing shows and writings there. That's a little light right now due to personal schedule. I'll see you guys in mid-May. And basically, anywhere Larry does a show, we'll probably end up showing up on each other's shows. It's usually a guaranteed. So, and of course on Twitter at MagicMan1, MAGICKMANN1.
All right, and second place here, who did an amazing job fighting this whole show. A round of applause to Richie. Yeah. All right. So Richie Procopio, where can we?
Sad applause.
Sorry, there's only 3 of us, and we didn't want to bang in the mics, you know. Anyway.
Right out loud, he said gowned off. Good grief.
So Richie Procopio, where can we find you on the internet?
You can find me on my YouTube channel, youtube.com/bogotter. It's B-O-G and the animal, otter. I do Guild Wars 2 videos and Hearthstone videos mainly, but I check out other games as well. I also stream on twitch.tv/bogotter, and I have a Patreon campaign, patreon.com/bogotter. And you can find me on the Twitters at Richie Procopio, if you can spell it.
Which will be below, you know, your name right now. Yeah, right there. All right.
Right there.
So, all right. So, and Tina, where can we find you? Although your camera's dying on us. So quickly.
Whoops. Oh no. You can find me on Twitter mostly at Purple Tina Beans. You can also, of course, find me on Massively OP. I write the Flameseeker Chronicles, the Guild Wars 2 column that is. Yeah. And I also write MMO Mechanics, and I also write Guild Chat.
Excellent. Go ahead.
I also work on a game myself, and you can find it at predestinationgame.com.
Predestinationgame.com. Oh, yeah, definitely go there. Check that out. Amazing fight this time around. I really appreciate you guys coming on. I will have all of you back sometime in the future. Amazing, just great guys. All of these guys, if you have not seen anything that they've done, I mean, why haven't you seen it? Go to their websites.
I am a big fan of Richie's work.
Yes. Yeah, I'm a big fan of everybody's work here.
You should go watch his stuff.
All right, if you're a big fan of what I do, you can catch me on Twitter at Shadow, SHADDOE. I write the Hyperspace Beacon, the Tamriel Infinium, and I do the comic Sword and Board over on Massively Overpowered.
Oh, yeah.
It's at MassivelyOP.com, and if you want to see more of what, learn more about MMOs besides Mike's site, there's also Massively Overpowered. So if you go to MassivelyOP.com, check us out there. Thank you for tuning in. If you like this show, subscribe to this channel, and we'll be doing this every week. And I appreciate you tuning in for this first episode. And we're done. We're great. This is awesome. Gollum. Oh my God.
So cute. I named that Gollum.
I've never seen Gollum so cute. All right, catch you guys later. Bye-bye.
Take care.